Welcome to The Shift Show with Adriana Bucci. Join me every week to learn all about narcissistic abuse recovery, healing from physical and emotional pain after the abuse, and everything else to do with toxic people and how they affect your physical, emotional, and mental health. And no, you are not the crazy one. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. Let's get right to it. Hello and welcome to episode, I believe we are on episode number 36 by now. This is another solo episode with just me, and I am going to be talking about gaslighting. So I figure it makes sense to just have an episode just about this. So if anyone is unfamiliar with what gaslighting is, this is another manipulation tactic that narcissists like to use. And in a nutshell, it's a strategy that they use to just kind of make you question your reality. And the origins of the word gaslighting and why it's called that is from a film from, I believe it was from 1938, and it's about a man and his wife, and he installed a bunch of gas lights. So I guess these were like lights with like gas in front of them, so like foggy kind of. And he would put those lights up and like move the furniture around so the wife wouldn't see that he was doing it. And then once the gas lights turned off, she would notice furniture was in different spots in the house. And then when she questioned him about it, he would basically say, "No, you're crazy." So that's where the term was born. And, you know, eventually from this movie, I didn't actually watch it, but from what I've heard about how it ends is she pretty much ends up in a mental institution because she thinks she's going crazy because he's moving furniture around and saying that it's not happening. So that's how narcissists operate. And that his motivation behind that was, I think he wanted a divorce or something, and I guess he either wasn't man enough to say it, or I guess in the 1930s, divorce was even more frowned upon, but, lack of communication all around there. So, I'm going to give you guys some examples of what gaslighting can look or sound like. So, one example is you're remembering wrong, right? So, if a narcissist tells you that you are remembering something wrong, but you're pretty sure that that's how it happened, they are trying to make you question your reality. So, you know, you could be talking about anything that happened in the past or even, you know, the very recent past, like 5 minutes ago, and they'll say, "No, you're remembering wrong." And, you know, the truth is you remembered correctly, but because you called the narcissist out on their shit, they're going to try to make you question your reality and make you feel like you're the crazy one. And this way they can continue to abuse you. And, you know, just because they tell you that you are remembering wrong, it doesn't mean you actually are remembering wrong. It doesn't mean you have any memory issues, and it doesn't mean that you can't trust yourself to experience or to, you know, remember things accurately, and that you can actually trust yourself and your experience. It's just they are trying to make you not trust yourself or your experience because they want to continue to abuse you. Another example is when they say, "You're the one who should apologize, not me." So, you know, disclaimer, obviously, we all fuck up sometimes, and when we genuinely apologize, all good, right? But when you're calling a narcissist out on something that you think you need an apology for, you know, and I mean, everything that they do probably does warrant an apology, but you're never going to get it, so just don't even bother. But if you do try and ask them for an apology, they will say that you're the one who should apologize, not them, right? So again, they're really just making your reaction to their abuse the issue. So if they can make you wrong somehow, it makes the abuse kind of go under the radar, and then you're going to feel like you're always in the wrong and that they can keep abusing you. And this doesn't mean you actually have anything to be sorry for or that you need to apologize. It's, you know, again, your reaction to their abuse is not the problem, but they're making it the problem in order to avoid owning up to anything. So, for example, you know, let's use the classic example of you suspect your significant other is a narcissist and you suspect they are cheating. So, you know, maybe they step out of the room, they get a text message from the other person that they're cheating on you with, and it just happens to pop up on their phone. So you glance at it, and that confirms your suspicions. You call them out on it, and, you know, they're going to deny it, and you tell them to apologize. They're going to tell you that you need to apologize because you looked at their phone or you glanced at it when the notification popped up, and you're the person who's wrong. Never mind the fact that they cheated on you, just the fact that you looked at their phone is just so much worse, right? So it's just crazy making stuff. Another example, I'm sorry you feel that way, or, you know, I'm sorry if, or, you know, fake apologies like that. Because they, especially when they say, I'm sorry you feel that way, it's a very half-assed fake apology because they're making you feel wrong about feeling bad for being abused. And then it kind of seems like they actually apologized, but they really didn't. And then this way they can continue to abuse you. And your feelings towards their abuse are not wrong. However it is that you feel when you're being abused is completely valid because, again, you're being abused. Emotional abuse is always abuse. And, you know, the thing with these emotions that we have towards abuse is that we feel like we're going to be trapped with that emotion forever. And the truth is that that's not true. If you actually allow yourself to feel the emotion, away from the narcissist, obviously, because they don't tolerate emotions. They're not going to hold space for you. If you start crying, they're going to make fun of you for it. They're going to call you too sensitive. Saying you're too sensitive is also another form of gaslighting. So, you know, when I tell people to feel their feelings, I definitely mean in private because you don't want to do that publicly. And then, you know, you can actually allow yourself to feel through however you feel. And just because, you know, you feel guilty, for example, for whatever, it doesn't mean you have anything to feel guilty for, but that feeling of guilt is still there because maybe the narcissist is guilting you into doing something or feeling guilty or whatever. If you actually let yourself feel that guilt or whatever the emotion is, it's going to go away, and then you can get that clarity that, you know, that the facts are there that you have been gaslit. But when you have these repressed emotions clouding up your judgment and your brain space and all that, it is a shit show to actually act with clarity, if that makes sense. So when you actually allow yourself to feel, you are creating clarity for yourself. And when you feel an emotion, you actually don't have to do anything to release it. Just by feeling it and accepting how it feels is going to have it release on its own. This will take practice, right? If this is the first time you're hearing it, it's probably not going to make any sense to you. But, you know, it's one of those things you just kind of incorporate it into your life every day, and eventually you will start figuring out how to feel your feelings. And that is ultimately how we heal from pretty much everything. Some more examples of gaslighting. I never said or did that. Okay, when you know for a fact that they did it, even if you present them with evidence, even if you film them and show them, they're still going to say they never did that. Or they're going to say, like, you made them do that, so it's your fault. So anytime you call them out on something they did or they said, that pisses them off, and they're going to make you question your reality and feel like you are the crazy one, again, so they can keep abusing you. So I want you to understand that you're not going crazy when you are being gaslit by a narcissist or a toxic person, because you're not going crazy. They're trying to make you think you're going crazy. And that's bullshit, you know? That is their way of continuing to abuse you. They have an in, you know, and if you keep going back to them and not setting boundaries, not eliminating contact or going no contact or whatever, they're going to continue gaslighting you and making you question your reality. Making you question your reality is a form of abuse because reality is reality, right? And like, then there's like the spiritual gurus who will say like, oh, it's just the perceived reality and all that kind of shit. And there's definitely narcissists in that realm who, you know, like, it's almost like they create a cult, but like there are some spiritual leaders out there who are amazing. So this doesn't apply to all of them at all. But you know, they'll say crap like that it's like, oh, your interpretation, da 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 da. And it doesn't take away from the fact that like abuse happened just because someone who has positioned themselves as an expert says so. Abuse is still abuse. So just be aware of that. And with the narcissists in your life, of course, like abuse is always abuse, and you need to get as far away from these people as humanly possible. And I know that that's difficult. I know. I've been there. I get it. And, you know, this is why I created a course on setting boundaries. I'll put the link in the episode notes. You have until November 1st to enroll in the course. So act as soon as possible, because we are now at October 27th, 28th, when this is going to be posted. So definitely sign up if that is something that you're wanting to learn, how to set boundaries. And it's how to set boundaries without feeling like an asshole. Because the thing with narcissists is when you do try to set a boundary with them, they're probably going to try and make you feel like an asshole. Or you're already programmed so much that like only bad people set boundaries, or like, you know, it's bad to set boundaries, it's mean, it's terrible, whatever. And that's not true, right? It's just how you've been conditioned. So the course will actually help you to, you know, break through that conditioning and rewire the way you think about boundaries, the way you set boundaries, the way you deal with other people's reactions to your boundaries, and all that fun stuff. So if that's something you're interested, totally sign up for it. I'm going to end this episode here. I know this is a really short one this week, but I really thought that, you know, bringing some awareness out there about gaslighting and what gaslighting is a very important topic. And, you know, I managed to do this without rambling too much. So that's exciting. Yeah, just, you know, be aware of any gaslighting that's going on. Understand that it's not you going crazy. It's them trying to manipulate you into questioning your reality for the purpose of continuing to abuse you. Narcissists know exactly what they're doing, okay? I want to make this clear. Gaslighting's not done by accident. Manipulation is not done by accident. No one accidentally creates this elaborate plan in their heads about how they're going to get what they want from you, okay? It's 1000% on freaking purpose. So if that helps you to stop making excuses for the abuser, that's great. If not, you know, there's more inner work for you to do. It's really hard to wrap your head around this sometimes because, you know, if you're, you know, an empath or, you know, somebody who's capable of empathy, which narcissists are not, it's really hard to wrap your head around the fact that other people are literally going out of their way to sabotage people and destroy their lives, you know, and it's so hard to like just accept that that's the reality. But, you know, straight up, that's the reality. This is how they function. They suck. They absolutely suck for it. Not going to sugarcoat it whatsoever. They are really shitty for being the way they are. Abuse is always a choice that the abuser makes. Doesn't matter what kind of abuse it is, okay? It could be narcissistic abuse. It could be domestic violence. It could be sexual abuse. Whatever kind of abuse. It is a choice that the abuser makes. It is never the victim or the survivor's fault, okay? I want you to really understand that. It's not your fault that you are being gaslit by this person, okay? They are making a choice to gaslight you in order to get what they want from you. That's abusive. That's fucked up. That's not okay. You need to set boundaries with these people as soon as possible. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope this has planted some seeds for setting boundaries and getting away from people who do this and people who gaslight, and whether they are narcissistic or not, if they are gaslighting you on a regular basis, get the fuck out. No one at all should ever make you question your reality. Okay? So I hope you enjoyed this episode. We will see you next week. Goodbye.